Hello guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Faith. So for this tutorial, we'll be working with this fabric. It's a cotton fabric and it's 3 yards. But if it's crepe, you have access to, you can make use of crepe also for this tutorial. Okay, so let's get right into the tutorial now. Alright, so I have my fabric on fold. We're going to be starting with the back of the dress first. So I marked out the length of the gown. The length of the gown is going to be 46, and then I added 2 inches for hemming allowance. Now for the width of the fabric, I determined the width on fold by dividing the hip that I will be working with into 4. Now the hip I'm working with is hip 42, so I divided it by 4. I had 10.5, then I added 5 extra inches for ease on the hip, and then 2 extra inches also for sewing allowance. So I had a total of like 17.5 or so, and then on fold you can see the fabric is 18 inches. So now we're going to be marking out 2 horizontal lines, the chest line, which I had it to be 9.5 there. You can determine your chest line by dividing your bust by 6, then you add 1.5 and another 1 inch for shoulder slope. Okay, now the next line I will be ruling is the half length, and I'm working with half length of 18 inches. Okay, so I will just rule that out. Now there is no point for me to mark the hip line because from the half length there, I'll just flare it to the tip of the fabric. Now next thing will be for me to determine the shoulder. The shoulder I'm working with is 17. Now 17 divided by 2 will give me 8.5. Now the dress is a drop shoulder if you look at the shoulder very well. So I decided to come down there by extra 3 inches for the drop shoulder. Okay. Now on that mark, I decided to determine the width of the sleeve. Now the bicep I'm working with is 13, so that's 6.5. I decided to add like 1.5 inches extra for ease on the sleeve there. So I'll mark out, I added everything there just for me to be able to get a straight line to bring it down. Okay, so I'll mark that straight line down now. Okay, next thing will be for me to determine the neckline, and I got this neckline by dividing the bust by 12, which gave me 3.2. So that's what I used for the width, and then for the neck depth I used 1 inch. Now on the shoulder there, I came down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, and I connected it back to the neckline. Moving forward, next thing will be for me to impute the bust circumference, and I divided the bust circumference by 4 and I arrived at 9.75. Now since it's not a fitted gown, I decided to add 2 inches for ease, so that gave me 11.75, and I decided to add 2 extra inches also for sewing allowance, making everything to be 13.75 there. So I just use my curve to connect it back to the sleeve which I already have there. On the waist, I did the same thing. Waist circumference is 38 divided by 2. I had 9.5, And then I added 2 inches also for ease, and then another 2 inches for sewing allowance. Okay, so now I'll connect those 2 points together, and then just like I said before, from the waistline there, I'll just connect it straight down to the tip of what I have at the end of my gown length there. On the edge there, I decided to go up by 1.5, and then I just created a curve there just to give that side shape. Okay, now I'll go ahead and cut this out. We're going to be using this to cut the front, so I'll cut it out now. Alright, on the shoulder slope there, I decided to add back 1/2 inch for joining. That's when we're going to be joining the shoulder together. Okay, so now I'll leave the neckline until I'm done with the front. Okay guys, so I've placed the back pattern on the front, and I marked out extra 2.5 inches on the front there. That's because we're going to be creating a shirt placket for the front there. So that is why I marked out 2.5. The first line you are seeing is just a straight line to have a starting point there. So that's the 2.5 there. Now the next thing will be for us to determine the neck depth for the front. Now we used 3.25 for the neck width, so we'll just use the same thing for the front, 3.25 for the width and 3.25 for the neck depth. That's for the front. Okay, I'll go ahead and connect all the points now. Next thing now will be for me to just cut out. Now notice I cut only the back neckline first. Okay, take note of that, because if you cut the front neckline first, you're going to make a big mistake which is going to affect your neckline. So you can see that after I cut the back neckline, I withdrew the front neckline. Can you see? Okay, so please don't make that mistake. Okay guys, so now I'll go ahead and cut out the front neckline. Okay, now I'll keep this aside. Okay, so for the sleeve, we're just going to run through a little calculation. Alright, now the sleeve length I'm working with is 14 inches. That's from the shoulder to the elbow. Now, if you remember, we had a drop shoulder where I added extra 3 inches. So I'll go ahead and remove the 3 inches from the 14 that I have for the sleeve length, which is going to give me 11. Now remember the sleeve is gathers, so the length of my gathers is going to be 11 inches. And remember that we have 3 tiers for the sleeve also. The sleeve, the gathers is in 3 tiers. So we'll have to determine the length for each of the tier. Okay. Now, first we're going to cut the base. Remember, this gather is going to be placed on a base, so we have to cut the base. So if my gather's length is going to be 11 total, now the base has to be smaller than that 11 inches. It has to be shorter. So what I did was 11 minus 2 inches, and I had it to be 9. Then I added 1 inch extra. I already cut the base already. That's what I'm showing you. So I added 1 inch extra to give me that 10 inches because I will still be folding the edge to knitting it. Okay. Now the round bicep I'm working with is 13. So I cut the fabric, the width of the fabric to be 15 inches so that I'll have sewing allowance there. Now to determine the length of my tiers now, we have to divide this the length of our base into 3 because we are going to be placing 3 tiers on it. The first one is going to be at the tip, and then so what I did was, since I have 10 inches there, I divided 10 by 3 to give me 3.333. So I marked out that I divided the 10 inches into 3 places, just like I'm showing you now. So now that I have this into 3 parts, the first tier will be on that edge, then the second on the middle line, and on the last line. So to determine the length of our tier now, we have to start from the third one, and we already have our base to at that end to be 3.3 there. So our gathers for the third tier has to cover the end of the base and to our elbow. So I determined the third tier, to be 9 inches long. Now I have to do the same thing for the second tier. Now remember, your second tier has to cover the starting point for the third tier. So I made that 7. And then for the first tier, it also has to cover the second tier. So I made that 6 inches. I hope you understand. Now the next thing will be for us to determine the amount of fabric we need to gather together. So what I did was I divided the round bicep, which is 13, by 2 to give me 26 inches for the fullness I will need. Alright, so now we have to go ahead and cut them out. Now I'm starting with the third tier, which is 9 inches. Okay, so I've marked out that 9 inches now. Next thing for me is to mark out the length of the fullness, which is 26 inches. And that's what I'm doing already. Okay, so I have two pieces there now for the two sleeves. I'll go ahead now and also cut the second tier. Now our second tier is 7 inches, and we're also cutting 26 inches long for the fullness. Next is to cut the first tier, which is 6 inches long. Sorry, 6, yes. For the fullness, we are also cutting 26 inches, and we have the length to be 6 inches. Okay, so now that we are done cutting, next thing will be for us to start sewing proper. Alright, so what I did here was for the front, remember we marked out 2.5 inches to create placket. So on the tip there, I marked out half an inch, and then I pressed it down with the pressing iron. And when after I did that, next thing was for me to fold it again on that 2.5 inches mark there. Okay, this is just how it's created for a shirt, a button down shirt. So it's the same process. Alright, so now that I have it for both, I did the first one off camera. Next thing will be for us to just run a stitch on that tip there. So I'll do that now. Alright guys, so I'm done with that. I've sewn it down. Next thing will be for me to bring the back, and we're going to be joining the shoulder, the both shoulders. So I'll do that now, and we'll continue. Okay, so guys, I've joined the shoulder, and I used part of the fabric pieces to create this bias, which I'll use to turn the neckline. You can use cotton bias if you have, but it's good also if you create your own bias. Alright, so for the sleeve, I folded the edge of the sleeve, and I also ran a loose stitch on top, so that we can use that to create the gathers. Now this one I'm holding is the first tier, and if you notice on the dress, the first tier is the tip is a little curve, so I will create that curve now. I decided to mark 2 inches there just to give me an idea of where to curve from. Okay, so this one also I'll go and knitting the hem, that's the edge, and then I'll run a loose stitch on top also, which we will use to create gathers, which we're going to pull together to create the gathers. Alright, so guys, this is it. I'm done sewing all of them, and I'll just pull them together now to create the gathered effect. And I'll be doing this for all of them. That's the 3 tiers all together, and for both sleeves also. Okay guys, so I'm done pulling all the fabric together. Next thing now is for me to bring my base, and I'll start with the 3rd tier. Okay, now all you have to do is make sure you pull, and make sure it's equal to the length of your base. And then now this chalk on the base is on the right side of the fabric. So what you do now is take the right side of your 3rd tier. So that's going to be like right side facing right side. Okay, and then you're going to be stitching it down like so, just the way I'm doing it now. Okay, and then you sew it down. Then when you're done, you're going to flip it like so. Can you see? Now you're going to repeat the same process also for the 2nd tier. Right side facing right side, and then you make sure it's equal to the base, and then you stitch it down like so, and then you flip over also. Now coming with the 1st tier, I actually made mistake and I picked the 2nd tier again, but when I realized, I dropped it and picked the 1st tier. Now for the 1st tier, look, if you check the sleeve very well, you will know that it didn't start from the same point with the first and the second. So I marked out 2 inches from the edge of the base there, and then I pulled the 1st tier into that space that I have in between there, like so. So you repeat this for the other sleeve also. It's the same process. So I'll do it now and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, so this is it. Can you see? Now next thing is to fold your sleeve, like fold it into two, right side facing right side. Now you're going to be sewing down the allowance that we have there. You can sew on 1/2 inch, depends on the allowance you added to yours. Alright guys, so I'm back with the dress, and next thing we're going to be doing now is to sew down the side seam. Remember we added 2 inches seam allowance, so I'll mark out 2 inches and sew on both sides. Okay, so I'll do that now and then we'll come back to continue. Okay guys, so I've done that. I've sewn both sides and it's time for us to fix our sleeve. Can you see how our sleeve is already looking? So all you have to do is to just match the side seam of your sleeve and the dress, and then you fix it. You repeat the same thing for the other side. So I'll do that now. Okay guys, so this is it. Can you see? I've fixed the sleeve to the dress and our dress is already looking beautiful. So next thing now is for me to mark out the half length of the dress. Now I'm doing this on the right side. You have to do this on the right side. We want to create a channel where we're going to be passing the loop, that's the rope through, because it has a rope on the waistline which was pulled to create the fitting on the waistline. So you mark out the half length of the dress you're working with, and you mark it out on the dress like so. You don't have to worry about the chalk because the channel which we're going to be placing will be covering that chalk line. Now when you're done marking from the placket you created, you want to come out after the placket. You're going to mark 1 inch from there because your channel is not going to get to the tip of your placket. So you come out by 1 inch there and repeat the same thing for the other side also. Now this is the channel that I've created, which we're going to be sewing on that mark there. So I'll just explain how I came about it to you now. Okay, so the fabric in total is 2.5 inches and the length is almost like 60 inches. I'm going to cut out the excess later. So I folded both edge into it and at last I have like 1.25. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using to create that channel. So all you have to do now is on that mark that you have, from where you have that 1 inch, you just place it on it. Make sure you fold the other tip and neaten it, and then you're going to sew both sides straight. Okay, because that's where we're going to be passing the rope for the fitting. Okay, so I'll do that now and come and show you. Okay guys, so I'll fix it, and this is the rope I created which we're going to be passing through that channel. So I'll just keep that aside now. Now next thing I'm going to do is to hem the gown. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Then I'll come back. We're going to be closing the placket there because that side was actually closed. So I'll do that now. Alright guys, so I've hemmed the gown, sorry. Next thing will be for us to sew down our plackets together. So all you have to do is place the two plackets over each other. Okay, make sure that they are well placed and your your hem there at the hem that you have them to be equal. Okay, now from the hemline there I'm going to go up by 9 inches to create an opening there, some form of a slit so that the gown will be free to walk in. Okay, and then from the neckline here I came down by 7 inches. So between these 2 points now I'm going to sew it down. You want to make use of your pin to pin them together so that you are sure that it's equal and it doesn't move off up. Okay, so now that I'm done pinning, I'll go and sew it down now. Then I'll come back and show you what I have. Please sew on both sides. Okay guys, so this is it. Can you see that's the opening for the neckline and that's for the slit? Okay. Now you can fix press button to the neckline there to keep it in place because there was no button on the outside, so I'm guessing a press button was used. Now for our rope you need a safety pin. Now this fabric was hard, so I had to force it. So this is me fixing the rope. Okay guys, so I'm done. So this is our dress, can you see? This is what we have. So now I will go ahead and fix the press button to the dress, and then I'll fix it on the, I'll wear it for the mannequin, and then so that you can see how it looks. Alright guys, can you see our gown? This is it. It's actually bigger than the mannequin because the owner is a little bigger. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.